committee meetings. Before we begin, I would like to welcome our newest SIU Carbondale trustee to the table, Susanna Gaik. Susanna, there you are. Welcome to the board. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Abazana,
Here.
Barnett,
Present.
Curtis,
Present.
Gaik, Gilbert,
Present.
Hightower,
Present.
Salger, Simmons,
Here.
Williams.
Present.
Quorum is established. Next, I hereby make the following appointments. Susanna Gaik as a member of the Academic Matters Committee and as a member of the Audit Committee. Again, welcome, Trustee Gaik. Next on the agenda is a current and pending agenda item, amendment to the Project Solar and Lightning SIUC Agenda Item V. Because this item was not submitted 10 days in advance, the board legislation requires two procedural actions to move forward. First, a vote that has to be passed by a simple majority of a quorum to bring the item to the floor for discussion. And second, a vote to allow a final vote on the agenda item, which must be passed unanimously. To expedite our proceedings, I will entertain a single motion to approve both actions simultaneously. Just a reminder that this will need to be a unanimous vote in order to continue this item for a vote in the meeting.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Abazana,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gaik,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Salger, Simmons,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
The motion carries unanimously and the item will be placed on the committee agendas for discussion and vote. The first committee meeting is the Academic Matters Committee meeting. Trustee Hightower, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The meeting of the Academic Matters Committee is now in session. I don't see Gupchuck. He's here. Oh, okay, fine. Good deal. Okay, good deal. Vice President Gupchuck, are there any announcements?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hightower. Later this morning, you will hear an update on the SIU Systems Strategic Plan. On a related note, I would like to mention just a few activities, and this is by no means a comprehensive list, that have centered the student or the learner and been accomplished with the support of this board, the president, and his leadership team. We should be proud of these successes related to Goal 1 of our plan titled Academic Innovation and Student Success, and we should thank all those who have worked hard to achieve this success. One, SIU System Course Exchange with the National Association of Higher Education Systems. We have had many students take online courses across campuses. This fall, the first shared certificate, the AI Social Media Strategist, will be offered by the SIUE Department of Mass Communications and the SIUC School of Journalism. Two, NASH Transfer Network Improvement Community. Aimed at system-wide increases in 2 to 4 year transfer rates, success of action plans ranged from single-digit percentages to 44%. Three, Nash Google Community of Practice, providing system-wide workforce-related Grow with Google credentials to students, faculty, staff, and community. And we checked yesterday, and there are 423 learners enrolled already. For learning and employment records, our registrars are working to reimagine transcripts to accommodate more than credit-bearing courses. For example, micro-credentials, badges, credit for prior learning, military credit, etc. This is going to take some time, but we're working through this. Open educational resources is the last one I wanted to mention, and a consideration of the SIU Press to serve as a repository for statewide OER resources. This is being accomplished through a grant from the Midwest Higher Education Compact. Thank you for allowing me to provide this opportunity to recognize these innovative projects and to thank the teams that have made these a reality for our learners. Those are my announcements.
Thank you. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of April 16th, 2026 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for this meeting? We have a motion. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call.
Gaik,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes,
Salger, Williams.
Yes.
the motion passes. Next order of business is the approval of the new programs, reasonable and moderate extensions, approval of off-campus program locations, and academic program eliminations and suspensions July 1, 25 through June 26, 30. June 30th, 26. Vice President Gupchuck, will you speak to this item?
Thank you, Trustee Hightower. Item H in your board packet is the annual listing of academic program changes and is presented herewith for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion second?
Second.
Good deal. Please call the roll.
Gaik,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes,
Sauger, Williams.
Yes.
good. Motion passes. Wow. Wow. Think about it, Roger, John. We've set the pace for you guys this morning.
We started late.
Okay, if there's no further motion, business, the committee is completed.
Thank you, Dr. Hightower. The next meeting is the Finance Committee meeting. Trustee Curtis, you may proceed.
Finance Committee is now in session. Could I call upon Vice President Justin Oates to make any announcements this morning?
Sir.
Take your time. I'm sorry, I rushed you a little bit.
Thank you, Trustee Curtis.
Perfect. Good morning. Today, I wanted to update the board on a few important system-wide initiatives that I believe will bring greater focus and transparency to the financial profile of the system and help surface our top risks both financially and otherwise. In a few minutes, I'll provide a brief update on the FY26 forecast developed in collaboration with the Vice Chancellors, the Associate Provost, based on year-end activity compared to budget across their respective campuses. Sorry, I ran. I want to note that this is an extremely preliminary update, and although the fiscal year closed on June 30th, 2026, a significant number of entries will still be looked at to finalize this year, and the number will become more concrete later this month. Before turning to the forecast, I want to share a bit of context. Following discussions with the President, we intend to begin providing a regular forecast update at future board meetings. Starting in December 2026, I will collaborate with the Vice Chancellors and Associate Provost to prepare a forecast data package currently under development, which will become a standing agenda item for the future Finance Committee. This will allow us to highlight known variances earlier in the year so that by this time next year, we have a clearer understanding of how the year has progressed financially, including enrollment trends, which are a significant driver of the operating revenue alongside state appropriations. We look forward to developing this process and are confident it will add meaningful value to the Finance Committee meetings over time while providing the board with valuable data to support its oversight role. One additional note before we move to the year-end forecast, I want to recognize my colleague, Yvonne Thompson, Executive Director of Internal Audit, who has been meeting with members across the system campuses to develop a risk heat map grounded in real identifiable risk. This work will place a helpful spotlight on our financial risk and inform future budget planning. Yvonne's project extends well beyond financial risk, which will also allow us to see how financial risk compares to other risks across the system. It is a valuable initiative, and I've appreciated the opportunity to collaborate with Yvonne and her team as they have led this effort. Now turning to the forecast, as we discuss our financial profile in future forecasts, we will break the data down by key categories that roll up to the total budget. These categories include appropriated funds and income funds, which serve as our true operating funds. Our secondary categories include revenue bond funds, self-supporting funds, and indirect cost recoveries, which are also significant, though they carry different restrictions and generally support specific programs. Today, we are discussing the budget in total. Based on the roll-up of the three campuses, we are projecting to be $2.9 million unfavorable to budget. This variance is primarily driven by lower than expected revenues in the School of Medicine. However, I want to note that the School of Medicine is currently reviewing its revenues receivables and may book year-end entries that would improve this year-end position. Carbondale and Edwardsville are both projecting to be slightly favorable to budget, driven in part by additional 2% released by the state at year-end, as well as enrollment growth at Edwardsville. Both campuses have also worked diligently to achieve these results through expense management. I want to note that some of these gains fall within the secondary categories I mentioned earlier and therefore carry designated purposes for future use. It is also worth noting that Carbondale's original budget reflected a planned deficit. Vice Chancellor Simmers and I have discussed this at length, and we remain committed to continue to strengthen Carbondale's budget position in the coming years. Thank you for allowing me this time today. I look forward to providing future updates as we continue to develop this model, and I'm happy to answer any questions before we move on.
Any questions for Vice President Oates? Thank you, Justin, and we do appreciate all your work in developing these forecasting models, so it's much appreciated.
Thank you.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meetings held both April 16th and May 29th. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Arizona,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Committee item number 3 is the approval to amend the purchase of medical professional liability insurance and broker services, Southern Illinois University System. Vice President Oates, will you present this item?
Thank you again, Trustee Curtis. This matter requests board approval to increase the authorized contract amount of our medical professional liability insurance and brokerage service provided through March, our current brokers since the original award in 2020. Medical professional liability insurance costs have risen significantly due to the sustained hard market, and the increase is necessary to fund the remaining renewal periods through 2030. We are requesting an increase to an authorization contract amount from 4.5 to 9 million for policy premiums and fees. All other coverage components and brokerage fees remain unchanged, and funding will continue to come from the university's self-insurance program, which carries adequate reserves. This coverage is essential. It protects our employed medical professionals, students in improved clinical programs, and all full-time School of Medicine clinical faculty, including their work through the SIU Healthcare. Maintaining this coverage is critical to supporting our medical education mission and protecting our faculty, staff, and students from liability risk. I'm happy to answer any questions before we move on. Or
Any
before we go to a
questions?
vote.
Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, could you perform the roll call vote?
Arizona,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item is approved. Committee item 4 is the approval of incentive compensation for Chancellor Lane. President Mahoney, will you present this item?
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Curtis. I've given you all the letter that I wrote for Chancellor Lane on his performance. I do want to highlight a few things. The work I think that's been done on enrollment at Carbondale has been particularly impressive, been up 2 of the last 3 years, and fall 26 is trending very, very positively in multiple ways, including an improvement in retention of first-year students, which is something I know the Chancellor has really championed on the campus. Continue to see him very actively involved in all of those efforts related to recruitment. Has done a good job of balancing the general operating budget, which was a challenge, and continuing to pay back some of the money that we did not receive during the budget impasse, and that's been a challenge for them to deal with, but he's dealt with that quite well. Looking at facilities over the long term and working on that campus master plan, which we'll get updated on later this year again, it will set us up well for the future. And I think certainly the fundraising success has been particularly impressive. I do want to note, I had mentioned in February that I had just passed the 5.9-year mark as president, which put me above average. Chancellor Lane now is at 6.02 years as chancellor, so he, like me, is now above average, but frankly, way above average. He's actually the longest serving chancellor now in 30 years on the Carbondale campus. And I looked at it. Yeah, that's worth applause. And interesting, as a president working with the Chancellor of Carbondale, we are the longest ever in SIU history. We've worked longer together than anyone. And I mention all of that because I think one of the things that's important with the success we've had at Carbondale, and it wouldn't happen with anybody, let's be clear, you have to have good leadership, but retaining good leadership is critically important, and having stability, which we've had at Carbondale, allows us to have the success that we've had. Even with the Moody's rating, which we've talked about recently going up again, they noted in that part of that was stability, and leadership was an important part of increasing our rating, as well as the successes that we've had. In that vein, while it's not part of this item, I do want to mention we do not currently in Chancellor Miners have a similar provision for a bonus, but success there has been very similar across many of the same factors. And so we will work on doing something similar for Chancellor Minor, and we'll bring back a plan at our September meeting so that we are also focusing on retaining both of our chancellors. But the success we've had at both campus, again, it's not entirely related to retention, but it certainly is heavily correlated with retention, and we need to continue to focus on that. So I am recommending the full performance bonus for Chancellor Lane this year.
Thank you, President Mahoney. Is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Arizona,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item is approved by committee. Committee item 5 is the approval of the incentive compensation for President Mahoney. Chairman Gilbert, will you present this item?
Thank you, Trustee Curtis. Following up a little bit on what President Mahoney was saying about stability, um, Trustee Emeritus Tedrick and I literally grew up on the Carbondale campus, and we've seen presidents come and go. We've seen chancellors come and go. And I think he would agree that this is probably the most stable administration and university the university has had in my memory. And the results are apparent from the increase of enrollment, the stability of our faculty and staff, and it is a tribute to the leadership that we have, not only at the top, but also at the Carbondale campus. And each of you should have received my evaluation of President Mahoney, but I want to highlight a few things. Under our current employment agreement with President Mahoney, the board has the authority to award an annual incentive up to $115,000 based on our assessment of the president's goals and accomplishments. Today, I'm proud to formally recommend that the board approve the full incentive amount of $115,000 for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. As detailed in the annual evaluation letter that was issued on July 1st, President Mahoney has not only met but significantly exceeds the board's expectations across every major strategic goal. This past year has been one of the exceptional performances, outstanding leadership, and historic milestone for the SIU system. Just to highlight a few achievements: the fiscal strength of the university, the historic fundraising, enrollment and retention, the state and federal advocacy, and campus connection. Beyond administrative excellence, Dr. Mahoney remains deeply connected to the core academic mission. He maintains a strong physical presence across the campuses and even took time and again to personally teach an undergraduate honors class in the fall. His foresight, fiscal resilience, and unwavering commitment to the collaboration has allowed the SIU system to thrive, and therefore I recommend an incentive compensation for President Mahoney for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026 in the amount of $115,000. That's my recommendation.
Thank you, Chairman Gilbert. Is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve Board Agenda Item M?
So moved. Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please perform the roll call vote?
Arizona,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item has been approved by committee. Committee item 6 is the approval of purchase of computers and computer accessories at SIUC. Chancellor Lane, will you present this item?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Curtis. For this item, I present a request for approval to purchase computers and computer accessories through a master contract negotiated by the Midwestern Higher Education Compact with Dell Marketing, LP. Dell has a long history or long-standing record of providing reliable technology at a competitive price to the university. This one-year contract, not to exceed $3 million, will build on our history with Dell through allowing us to receive volume discounts by combining departmental purchases. This will reduce our overall cost and improve the efficiency of our technical support. Funding for these purchases will be managed through the Office of Information Technology and recovered through charges to campus departments utilizing equipment. I have to thank publicly Will Clark and his staff. They do an amazing job on our campus. We bring this forward for your consideration and approval.
Thank you, Chancellor. Any discussion? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve this agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item has been approved by committee. Committee item number 7 is the approval to acquire real estate at the SIU School of Medicine. Dean Cruz, would you present this item?
Yes, thank you. This item is for the purchase of two vacant residential structures that sit in the footprint of the School of Medicine as defined by the master plan, very near here, as a matter of fact. The purchase price of $100,000 plus $60,500 for demolition and closing to be purchased with non-appropriated funds.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve board agenda item O?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
The item has been approved by committee. Thank you, Dean Cruz. Committee item 8 proposes the approval to purchase for an Adobe Enterprise Team License Agreement for the SIU system. Vice President Oates, will you present this item?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Curtis. This matter seeks approval to enter into a 3-year system-wide agreement with CDWG LLC for an Adobe Enterprise license made available through a contract awarded by the Illinois Public Higher Education Consortium, often referred to as IPEC. This agreement totals $1.75 million over 3 years and provides the university with the latest versions of Adobe Creative Cloud Suite and Adobe Sign products for use across both academic and administrative functions. These tools support instruction across a range of disciplines, give students direct exposure to industry-leading creative software, and provide our administration units with tools to streamline business processes. I'm happy to answer any questions before we move to a vote.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve this agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item has been approved by committee. Committee item 9 proposes the approval of purchase of enrollment, marketing, recruitment, and yield optimization services for SIUE. And I'm going to call on Chancellor Minor. Will you present this item?
Thank you, Trustee Curtis. This matter seeks approval to enter into a new service agreement with EAB Global to provide comprehensive enrollment management services at SIUE. The 3-year contract period is from July 2026 through June 2029. The total estimated cost is not to exceed $3.5 million. The agreement is a continuation and advancement of SIUE's current partnership with EAB. The services enable SIUE to maintain robust recruitment pipelines and optimize financial aid leveraging through predictive modeling. I respectfully seek the board's approval for this matter.
Any discussion? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
This item has been approved by committee. Committee item number 10 proposes the approval of salary and appointment of the Dean and Provost of SIU School of Medicine. Chancellor Lane, will you present this item?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Curtis. For this item, I present a request to approve clarifications in one modification to the terms of employment for Dr. Ian Martin as the incoming Dean and Provost of the SIU School of Medicine. The modification requested is a salary provision whereby if a salary adjustment plan is approved and it includes the School of Medicine, that Dr. Martin may be considered for an increase consistent with that plan, subject to board approval. This adjustment aligns the terms of the agreement with those of other senior leadership positions and ensures consistency in how compensation is administered across the institution. All other terms of the original employment agreement approved by the board in May remain unchanged. And I also want to thank publicly Luke for his work in helping us craft this contract for Dr. Ian Martin. And with that, we respectfully request approval.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve said motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call vote?
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
We will now move to committee item 11, which is current and pending items, which was approved earlier this morning by the full board to be presented for discussion and action. This item is an amendment to a solar lighting project at SAUC and will, at our joint discussion with the Architectural Design Committee, be approved. Vice President Oates, would you please present this item?
Thank you, Trustee Curtis. This matter seeks to amend the board's April 16, 2026 approval authorizing a solar power purchase agreement with Onyx Development Group for the installation of solar generation equipment on SIU Carbondale's campus. Following that approval, Onyx withdrew from the project and we were notified on June 24, 2026. Johnson Controls, which remains our IPEC awarded vendor, is actively working with their partner Orbital to identify a qualified alternative financing and ownership partner. The structure of the project remains unchanged. The solar equipment will continue to be privately financed and owned by a replacement partner at no capital cost to Carbondale, with Carbondale purchasing electricity produced by the system at below market rates over the term of the agreement. This matter supersedes the prior authorization as it relates to specifically to Onyx and grants the president authority to execute agreements with a qualified replacement partner upon my recommendation and following appropriate financial and legal review. Timing is important here as the authority will allow us to move forward with prospective partners without delay. The Chancellor and Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance recommend this matter for approval. I'm happy to answer questions before we move to a vote.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll need a motion and a second, and then we're going to ask both the Finance Committee and the Architectural and Design Committee to vote on this issue.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you perform the roll call votes for these two committees?
We'll begin with Finance Committee. Abizena,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Next will be the Architecture and Design Committee. Abizena,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
The item is approved. If there's no further business before the Finance Committee, this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, Trustee Curtis. I will now turn the meeting over to Trustee Simmons for the Architectural and Design Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice President Oates, you have an announcement?
Yes,
Kick
thank you,
this meeting
Trustee.
off? Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Simmons. I did want to take a moment as I was present on the call. I was not able to attend in person for the board matter discussed at the May special meeting regarding Edwardsville Dental Clinic award of contract. I do not intend to revisit that matter today, but I did want to mention that I am contemplating proposing changes to board policy around the award of contracts and easements. My goal is to help the university operate more efficiently while ensuring the board retains the appropriate level of oversight and approval authority. More information will follow, but I wanted to take this opportunity to put on your radar now so it does not come as a surprise when it is brought forward at a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Oates. And just so you're aware, I talked to President Mahoney about getting students to help us make an app for our developments. Yeah, just see where we're at. Anyway, first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting held April 16th and May 29th. Is there a motion to approve these?
So
minutes?
moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, Madam Secretary, could you please perform a roll call?
Abizena,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes. Motion passes. Item 3 is the project and license approval for the solar energy installation at SIU Head Start, Carbondale, and Marion facilities. Vice Chancellor Simmers, would you please present this? Thank you.
Thank you. Southern Illinois University Carbondale, on behalf of its SIU Head Start program, seeks to enter into agreements with ARF Solar LLC for the development, installation, operation, and eventual transfer of ownership of solar systems at the Carbondale and Marion Head Start facilities. The Carbondale Head Start project will be a ground-mounted system, and the Marion location will be a roof-mounted system. ARF Solar will collect federal tax credits, state energy credits, and Ameren rebates in consideration for the no-cost installation to SIUC. The agreements require no capital investment for the university, but should the university elect to terminate the agreement during the 15-year term, There will be a termination cost applied to the university for a total project cost of $869,500 and then $58,000 a year deducted from that for every year that we are in the agreement. The system will transfer ownership to SIUC after a 6-year period. And ARF Solar, though, will continue to warrant and maintain the system during the 15-year contract. We expect these systems to save about $31,000 a year in utilities, and the agreement still remains subject to final review and approval by the University Legal Counsel and Administration. The Chancellor and I recommend this to the Board of Trustees for approval.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve this matter?
So moved.
Second? I'll second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Arizona?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Committee item 4 is the approval to grant an easement of the city of Springfield. Dean Cruz, can you talk about this, please?
Yeah, thank you. As you said, this matter seeks approval to modify an easement arrangement. This board at the July 10th, 2025 meeting approved an easement for utility infrastructure for our property at 4801 Wabash Avenue in Springfield. This modification will expand the original easement by 10 feet and will be granted to the city of Springfield. This is required to facilitate proper trenching operations, and it does not require expenditure of funds.
Thank you, Dean Cruz. Is there a motion to put this matter on the board's omnibus?
So moved.
So move second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, could you form the roll call?
Arizona?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes. Item 5 is a revised project and budget for the residential hall air handling units replacement at SIUE. Chancellor Minor, would you talk to this, please?
Thank you, Trustee Simmons. This matter seeks approval to revise the project scope and budget for the replacement of the air handling units for Woodland and Prairie residence halls on the SIUE campus. The board previously approved 3 phases of the work totaling $3.1 million. Phase 1 replacement of the air handling units at Prairie Hall was completed in the summer of 2004. However, SIUE determined that 2 additional air handling units at Prairie had not been addressed in Phase 1 and will require replacement. The estimated cost for the 2 new units is approximately $441,000. Installation will be added to Phase 3 of the project in summer of 2027. In addition, the estimated cost of replacing the 5 air handling units at Woodland Halls has increased by approximately $258,000. The revised estimated cost of Phase 3 of the project is now $1.7 million after factoring for these changes. The project expense will be funded from SIUE's Housing Repair and Replacement Reserve, which can accommodate the increase. I respectfully seek the board's approval for this matter.
Thank you, Chancellor Minor. Is there a motion to approve this item and put on the board's agenda as item U?
So moved.
Second? Did we get that? Okay, thank you. I didn't hear the second. Madam Secretary, could you call the roll?
Arizona?
Yes.
Barnett?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes. Committee item 6 has already been discussed and approved with the Finance Committee, and so no other action on that. It'll be item V. And item 7 of our agenda is other business, and there is no other business before the A&D Committee. And with that, we'll stand adjourned, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Simmons. I move that we take a 15-minute recess, and for the full board meeting to begin, we'll start that at 10 o'clock. Stand in recess till 10 o'clock. board meeting. I will call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Abazina,
Present.
Barnett,
Present.
Curtis,
Present.
Gaik. Present. Gilbert,
Present.
Hightower,
Present.
Salger, Simmons, Williams.
Present.
A quorum has been established. I would like to announce that during yesterday's executive session meeting, the board approved the release of an executive session meeting minutes excerpts from the period September 2025 through February 2026. Those will be posted to the board's website. The next item of business is approval of the minutes of the meeting of the board held April 15th and 16th, 2026, and May 29th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Abazina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gaik. Yes. Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Salger, Simmons,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Next, we have the trustee reports. I don't think there's any trustee reports. The next, for the committee reports, I'll report the executive committee has not met between board meetings. At regular board meetings, 30 minutes will be reserved to receive comments or questions from members of the public and employees of the university. Speakers' comments or questions should not exceed 5 minutes. Persons wishing to speak shall contact the executive secretary of the board. The executive secretary of the board shall maintain a roster of those seeking to speak and shall call the speakers in order. Madam Secretary, do we have any speakers today?
We do. Rachel Tollett.
Ms. Paulette? Going once? Going twice? I wonder if she's out.
Near the door.
I don't know, why is she?
Okay. Ms. Paulette did not show up. Our next item of business, the Executive Officer's Report. Chancellor Lane, will you present the report for the Carbondale campus?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will start the presentation with a couple of months. It's hard to believe it's already July, but a few months back, as you know, we were celebrating our students, 2,087 graduates from SIU Carbondale, 19 countries, and the age range is always interesting when I at least announce in the audience that we have a 20-year-old that's graduating and then a 79-year-old. It's always pretty impressive what they've been able to accomplish. So it's myself and Dr. Mahoney, that's our traditional picture we take on the steps of Banterra with our students. It's always a fun time there. So congratulations to all our graduates. We had a special part of the ceremony. And I don't know, this is not a video, but you probably recognize one of our newest doctors there, Dr. J. Phil Gilbert. And he pretty much stole the show for us in receiving that doctorate. So I know that his family was able to be there and be in attendance, but just really something that long overdue for our campus. You heard the judge mention earlier about his connection to SIU Carbondale, and everyone knows that in the Southern Illinois region. And so how fitting is it to have Dr. Gilbert recognized during that ceremony? In addition, he's in a really good class. That's Mike Glenn, Dr. Hightower, the Stinger. I remember Mike Glenn, a pretty good basketball player for us. And so he was recognized, and you have James Miller. And Russell Bartmus, a lot of people don't know, we worked with him over the last 5 years. He is the secret behind the Saluki Step Ahead. So all of the money that we received in the millions of dollars was from him. And so he was honored as well. So really excited to have that recognition for our spring 2026 honorary degree recipients. There's a little bit of a video there. I didn't realize I had to click it. It's Mike. Just saw Dr. Gilbert. James. And there's Russell that I mentioned earlier. And so overall, just a great ceremony, great recognition. This is a shot of actually, Dr. Gilbert, the keynote speaker at our law school graduation as well. So he had a pretty busy couple of days there with everything going on campus. So it's good to see you and have you there. Our Saluki Takeover tours for the spring, I know many folks on our staff would say they're really excited that they're over because they felt like they were never going to end, but they were so impactful. On the left, you'll see we made 18 stops, 3,500 attendees. The engagement we get with our alums, with our donors, and friends of the university is amazing. 76 alumni partner events, 9 new stops for fiscal year 2026 that we added, 270 donor visits. Over about a 3-day period, we touch just about everyone that we can touch in the cities that we go to, whether it's high schools, community colleges, business partnerships, you name it. This whole concept has really taken off for us, and we can see the return on investment. It's created excitement across the university. You know, Trustee Barnett was out at Lake Egypt and some other events, and we appreciate the support. But this for us is great. We do it all over essentially the country, but we all have a special capstone event in the Southern Illinois region. And when I talk to those folks who live in our region, they just say, keep doing it. This is what we need to do. Keep doing it. And they really are appreciative of the efforts, and we love engaging with them. So hats off to the foundation for helping us orchestrate this and put this together. All of the folks on my team do an amazing job as well. So just really thankful for those events. Okay, here's just some photos. I'll keep going forward. Getting into fall enrollment. So we're always cautiously optimistic. As you know, we don't have the official number until the 10th class day. Our team has been working, not just recently. This started back in the fall when we go out to recruit students. As I mentioned, the Saluki Takeover tours, the visits to high schools and community colleges and open house and all of those things happen in the fall. But our strategic plan is to yield those students that we have recruited in the spring. That's why the spring is so important, and also the summer. So for our applications, as you can see, they are up. You can see in our retention this year is what we focused on a lot. The retention numbers are up as well. So that means our students are going to be returning and coming back to us. Students from the region, our online students. So we're feeling pretty good. But again, we never give a number until the 10th class day, right? Looking at Dr. Mahoney, right? We never do that. So this is a teaser for you, but I will tell you that our folks, this is academic advisors, recruitment and retention coordinators, our Mark Morris back here, our co-provost with Dr. Morgan in academic affairs, Wendell Williams, David Shirley with all the data. I mean, Jeff Harmon with all the marketing. I mean, I just, the list goes on. I'm going to get in trouble after this meeting because I'm probably leaving some folks off, but it's a team effort. Jeff Bergen, new student orientations. He does a great job in student affairs. We can't forget him, right? He does a great job. So we're really excited. This is an acknowledgement for Brent Peace, and I want to give him that acknowledgement. It's one of our faculty members that was instrumental. This is a landmark partnership for us. It's a $45 million 10-year agreement, Illinois Department of Transportation. Lots of folks to thank, John Charles, Dr. Mahoney, again, Brent Peace, our faculty, our dean that's back on campus in education. Vicki, she does an amazing job. We've got a lot of folks that have been tied into making sure that this happened. You know, we had a school to the north of us that was really the leader in this. And you know, we're competitive, but it now includes us, and we're excited about it. Being a Research One university, having something like this is the reason why, right? We've got amazing faculty that go after grants like this. And so this is just a shining example of how that continues to play out for our institution. Flying Salukis, 10-time national champs. We just took it home here. These, if you meet the folks in these photos, these students are amazing. And what I loved about it, if you look to the left, and I made sure in the presentation that we show you the schools that we actually beat, right? Because sometimes that gets missed. And so you talk about some heavy universities on the left side there. I mean, these flying Salukis, they want it all. I mean, they've done an amazing job. And so that's a shot of all of our students. There's the coach in the back left there and two coaches on the far right. If you look at it, 10 national championships, 17 straight top 5 finishes, 14 or 15 years in the national top 3. Usually when I'm out recruiting and talking about our institution, one of the first or second things that comes up is our aviation program and the Flying Salukis. And so they are, just as our basketball, football, softball, baseball teams get that notoriety and that they're the front door of the university, so are the Flying Salukis now. So they do an amazing job. We were just with Dr. Newmeyer has an annual golf tournament up in Chicago every year. We just got back with our students playing in that tournament. Dr. Hightower, they need to stick to flying. They're definitely not golfers here. So, and they admit it, that they just need to stick to flying planes. But really great time up there, seeing a lot of our supporters and alums in this program. Dr. Martin, I'll get to this in just a second. This is the new opportunities that we have in the city of Carbondale, working with the city. Just wanted to show you an example of a partnership that is working very well. This is the new multimodal facility where the Saluki line comes right through an Amtrak. They gave us some sizable space as soon as you get on or off this train right there in the entrance. So we're going to have another welcome center. Jeff Harmon is working with his team to brand it with Saluki everything. I can't tell you how many passengers get on and off those trains that come through, and most importantly, our students. So we want our students to make sure for the first time, if they're coming to us, that they feel at home. And when they're leaving, going back to where they're from, we want to make sure they get a taste of their university as they go home. But this is a great space for us right in the middle of the city. We also have some workspace that's tied with Lynn Lindbergh and our research park area. So this is going to be real special for us. So just hats off to the city. I probably don't thank them enough, but they do a really good job in connecting with the university. You heard this mentioned earlier about the foundation's fundraising success at the university that we're having is absolutely amazing. I cannot thank the donors enough for what they've been able to help us achieve. And you can look at the percentage in green there. It's a 40% increase from last year. Awarded $6.9 million in scholarships to 2,200 plus students. That is extremely critical. As you can see, open the Tedrick Welcome Center. Our goal in the Imagine 2030 campaign there is to get to that number so that we can do even more. It's just exciting. Again, I can't thank them enough. Myself, Dr. Mahoney, Matt Kupek, his whole entire staff, we're always out and about trying to really inform people what the university is doing, the positive things that are happening. And I think that translates into folks wanting to give and support their alma mater. And we're seeing a lot of that, and we want that to continue. So again, just a kudos on that front. I'll go back a slide here. Before I do this, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Dr. Cruz. There he is, Dr. Cruz. Dr. Cruz made my life easier over the last 6 years. When I showed up here, I knew he was special when I walked in his office and saw that picture of that Saluki championship. That was amazing. And I said, "He's a basketball guy too." So we hit it off pretty quickly. Clyde, that's right. That's right. We hit it off quickly. Jerry, I'm going to offend some folks. He's probably the smartest person I know. I mean, this guy is a brain. And the way he has navigated this institution here at the School of Medicine is absolutely amazing. We were very fearful, myself, Dr. Mahoney, going into this search, because all we heard from the groups that were this part of the search committee, all we heard was, how are we going to fill the shoes of Jerry? You know, how are we going to find someone that's going to be able to keep this momentum alive and take us to new heights? And there's not going to be anyone to replace Jerry. And we heard that last night with Trustee Curtis when he mentioned it at dinner. But I think we found a very strong an energetic individual with years of experience, and he did his homework. When we talked to our research, our committees that were here, he rose right to the top. And the comments that we received and the feedback, was amazing. And we're going to see Dr. Martin here next month, but we already have folks who are talking to him now. Dr. Mahoney and others are already meeting with him just to get him the lay of the land. He's excited about it. He's already been here. I'd be remiss also if I didn't thank Rakisha. I didn't see Rakisha. Oh, Rakisha's here. Rakisha, they're always back behind the scenes. Rakisha was our fearless leader in this search. It was her job to keep us organized and on track. When we announced the search, we were hoping to have someone announced in July, and we beat that date. So hats off to Rakisha. David Shirley, my chief of staff, worked right alongside of Rakisha, and then Nick Workman, our HR Vice Chancellor, Human Resources. So excited about this. I know that we have some things that will be planned here in Springfield in conjunction with Dr. Mahoney and the folks here in Springfield, but just really excited about the addition that we're going to have with Dr. Martin. The last slide, this is something we do every year to close out the year. It's our annual report. If you do a little scan there, you'll be able to get the details of that report. This is from the Imagine 2030 campaign. There's so many objectives inside of this report. Our campaign runs, or this Imagine 2030, obviously we've got 4 years left, so we still have some time, but we've got so many things that we still want to get accomplished. We're not done yet. So in some cases, in some areas, we're just getting started. So this just gives you a snapshot of what we have accomplished in the goals that were set within that particular plan. So with that note, I just want to again thank the board and the president for your support. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Chancellor Lane. Dean Cruz?
Scott.
I don't have any slides today,
yeah, he doesn't.
so, we can put whatever you want to put up on the screen there. That was fine, as a matter of fact. So, last night at the board dinner at our table, we were reminiscing about some things. And one of those was the flying Salukis, as a matter of fact. We talked about things in where SIU was a national champion. So like our plastic surgery program, the physician assistant program, the debate team, the SIU Edwardsville women's softball team. There may be others at Edwardsville that I don't know about, as a matter of fact, but we talked about the flying Salukis. And I just know that before I became dean, but when I was executive associate dean, I got to fly in the airplane a little bit more. And I had a flight with Emily. I think her last name was Frasca. And I think she was one of the individual national champions. And it was the best flight I ever had in a biplane. Smooth as silk, as a matter of fact. So I've got a personal testimony for that one. So that's good. So today, I'm just going to say a few things about historical reflection and some of the things that I've learned about what makes the SIU School of Medicine great, what makes SIU Carbondale great, what makes the SIU system great, and I try to tie some of those things together. So, I'll go back to the time when I joined SIU at SIU Quincy in 1984. At one of the previous board meetings, I had told a story about how a couple of us had utilized a federal grant to work with the county health department to go out into the community and find women who needed obstetrical care and care with their young children. Now, the person who actually instigated that was Dr. Deborah Phillips. And so Debbie was my practice partner for about a decade. She was at Quincy 1 year before I was, and she had come right out of her residency program, and she'd had her residency training program in Carbondale. And a young faculty member there who was going to just become the program director as Dr. Phillips left was Dr. Penelope Tippie. And I think many of you know Penny Tippie and Gabe Tippie from the Carbondale area. And so she learned from Penny about community engagement. Penny went on to be the residency program director for the Carbondale program for 34 years. Clearly the longest residency program director in the history of SIU School of Medicine, and one of the longest in the history of the United States, as a matter of fact. And I think most of you might have remembered Penny as a force of nature during her lifetime. I'll never forget when I became chair of family medicine, Penny had worked with Southern Illinois Healthcare to get the West Frankfort Clinic going in her hometown. And to help dedicate that clinic, Lieutenant Governor Pat Quinn came down, and he described Penny Tippie as SIU's bright North Star shining in the South. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounded pretty good, as a matter of fact. Anyway, back to Quincy. So our experience with the health department was good, and so we brought this into the city of Quincy and tried to engage the physicians to do the same thing, to find the people who needed care. The response that we got was, "Hey, we see everybody that comes to our door. We don't need to spend our time on this." So one of my first lessons when I was at SIU was the basic principle of community engagement. You have to find those who need the care, and every physician should have some level of commitment to finding those folks. And finding them we did through innovative programs. So down through the years, we were able to develop a pervasive network of federally qualified health centers, 19 now in 8 communities. Through the work of the federally qualified health centers, we were able to do community engagement projects, and we were able to understand that community health workers were important, very important, essential in that process. And so we now have an Office of Community Health Work that has 38 people in it. So again, the principle is finding the people who need care, finding the people who can engage the community, and empowering them to make the decision and take the leadership role, and to step back and be a facilitator and a partner in that. Now I'm going to go back to Quincy again. So in the first couple of years when I was at Quincy, we're a residency training program. So, 6 residents a year for 3 years, but we had regular rotations from medical students all the time. And so we had regular year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, medical students of all kinds. And we had regular students from Missouri, from medical schools in Kansas City, Columbia, and Kirksville, from Iowa Medical School in Des Moines, from Illinois, a medical school at University of Illinois, Rockford, and at SIU, from Ohio State University sent students regularly to us. It became apparent to me very quickly that the SIU students clinically could skate circles around all the other medical students. And I didn't feel so good since I came from University of Missouri, but we're probably second in that group, as a matter of fact. But those students were astounding. And they were astounding then, and they continue to be astounding now. Now, why is that? One, they knew how to take care of a patient. Why? Because they had early clinical experience, and because they had surgical skills lab. I will say, thanks to our partnership with Memorial Health, that started early and it's expanded, and it's incredible. Not only did they know how, they knew why. They were the best at critical thinking and clinical decision-making at that young stage in their career that I ever saw. And why did they? Problem-based learning, standardized patients. So I think I learned that back at the start of the medical school, Dean Richard Moy and the first handful of faculty members that were recruited had the common vision that medical education had not kept up with technological changes after World War II, and that it needed to be deconstructed and they needed to start over. As a matter of fact, in an article in the New England Journal of Medicine, Dean Moy called this medical school the Springfield experience. And that's before it became actually regional and in nature. So over those first 12 years, the first full-fledged problem-based learning curriculum, the first full-fledged surgical skills lab, the first full-fledged use of standardized patients as the sole criterion for the senior comprehensive examination of the students happened at the SIU School of Medicine. And that now happens in every medical school in the United States, either fully or partially. So we were a leader in that innovation again, and that creative thought has continued. I'll mention one more thing that I learned a little bit late to that. There's another piece to this clinical care given by the SIU students, and that's that they understand teamwork. They know how to work with the team probably better than than anyone else too. And there's just a couple of examples that I'll give. You all know well about the Lincoln Scholars Program, the 8 medical students a year that spend all 4 years in Carbondale. Their first year, their problem-based learning occurs in groups with physician assistant students. So 4 Lincoln Scholars students, 4 physician assistant students. That is the highest degree of interprofessional education that I can find. And it's the first time that it's been done in the United States. And, you know, we're now in our 7th or 8th class that's done that, and it is working supremely well, as a matter of fact. Now, here's another little known fact. Second Dean, Carl Ghetto, when he had a little bit of state money at his disposal, he actually hired nurse practitioners, advanced practice nurses to be nurse educators for the curriculum for the medical students. And they would organize the curriculum, they would develop the curriculum, they would help implement and teach the curriculum. And it worked so well that our accrediting agency, the Liaison Committee on Medical Education, gave us one of the highest commendations for that innovation in education. So knowing how to care for patients, knowing how to make clinical decisions, and using the team appropriately, we're doing well with that. Now, I've obviously been interviewed by a lot of people over the last few months, and the common question that I get is, what are you most proud of at the SIU School of Medicine? That's almost an impossible question to answer, but frequently I think, in a general sense, I'm proud of the broad spectrum of things that the SIU School of Medicine does in an excellent way. So from engaging the community, finding the mistrust, all the way through the most specialized subspecialties that we can have, and reaching all those patients in between is it. And I will take one more time and just give COVID-19 as that example. So when COVID-19 came out, the broad spectrum of what the SIU School of Medicine came on full display. So first, our basic scientist, Keith Gagnon, who was jointly appointed by the School of Medicine and SIU Carbondale in microbiology and biochemistry, immediately became one of the major gene sequencers for the subvariants of the SARS-CoV-2 virus in the entire world, getting everybody ready for the genetic changes that were going to occur with that virus. Here in Springfield, Dr. Rushika Goel, a hematologist, developed convalescent plasma that could be administered to the sickest patients in the ICU and save their lives. And our other basic scientists worked directly with the University of Illinois in order to set up testing facilities for the U of I rapid tests that came here, both here in Springfield, Metro East area, other places as well. In the realm of education, our medical educators stayed in this building day after day after day after day, and I mean 24/7, until they immediately developed a virtual educational product, and they could teach our medical students by teleconferencing. They were totally dedicated to that. In the realm of public health, our infectious disease doctors and our statisticians partnered with everybody in Sangamon County, with our partner hospitals and others, to develop a program for this county. And they also lended all of their expertise to the whole SIU system and to the state of Illinois. And I will mention that among the university presidents, the leadership shown by President Mahoney was exemplary. And on the Carbondale campus, it was very clear the leadership by Chancellor Lane and by Chief Newman was just amazing, and was part of that public health effort. At the community level, we already had community health workers. The state of Illinois asked them to become pandemic health workers for the state. So they went out to find those people who were fearful, those who mistrusted, those who didn't know where to turn, and got the job done. The other thing then is, now the big category is clinical. We kept caring for our patients the whole time. Telemedicine expanded dramatically. All of our primary care, all of our chronic disease care continued. The emergency medicine physicians were fearless. Infectious disease doctors provided the consultation, and the pulmonary critical care doctors provided the care to the largest number of sick patients that you've ever seen in your life. I think Memorial Hospital went from 1 medical ICU to 4. I think that's, and you just put on your gown and your mask and go take a look. Even if you're a physician, you know, your eyes just popped out to see what kind of care was being done. So that is the illustration, I think, of what I'm most proud of. And then the last thing that I'll say is what I've noticed is how this School of Medicine has come to be in demand. And so I'm talking across the world, as a matter of fact. So the largest medical education group in the world, with members from 80 countries and 60,000 members, is AMEE, A-M-E-E. Now, they are like Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. They don't go by words anymore. It used to be the Association of Medical Education of Europe, but they spread far beyond Europe. So we have been recognized by AMEE for excellence in many areas of what we do, but I'm just going to give you one example, personal example as well. So about 3 years ago, their conference was in Lyon, France, and I was fortunate enough to go there. And in this big exhibition area, there were posters and the researchers that did the medical education research were there, and there were several people, including me, at one of the posters. And as we discussed the innovation that was occurring there, we started introducing ourselves, and I said, I'm Jerry Cruz. I'm from Southern Illinois University School of Medicine, USA. That's all that was needed. I was the de facto immediate expert for that group. It's like when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. Well, in medical education, when SIU talks, people listen. And then the state of Illinois, you know, I already mentioned some things that we did with COVID-19, but we've been awarded the Behavioral Health Workforce Center, the Technical Assistance Center, the Certification Center, and all of those things that go along with that. That's a whole lecture in and of itself. We are moving the quality forward for the Department of Corrections in a way that has never been done before. In Sangamon County, here, when there was a need to address a major problem, which related to the way that the helping professions worked and the mental health services in town, the Massey Commission, we helped lead that commission and helped administer all the things that it was done, and it's having, you know, all kinds of fruitful benefits come out too. So, you know, I would just say that I think I've described to you the SIU imperative. I think there's all kinds of opportunities that come along with that imperative for the future, and I'll let Dean Ian Martin describe those to you when he gives a talk. But I'll just say that this organization, the Southern Illinois University System, and SIU Carbondale, SIU School of Medicine, SIU Edwardsville, the individual pieces of it, have had a rich tradition of innovation. That may sound like an oxymoron to you, a tradition of innovation, but it is a tradition of innovation. And I'm just very proud to be a part of an organization that embraces excellence in innovation and everything that we do. And
I will say this, that your leadership and stewardship as Dean and Provost of this medical school has been nothing short of remarkable. You have led us through some difficult times, and you have put the SIU medicine on the map regionally, nationally, and internationally, and it's done to your leadership. But again, there's more to come later. So, all right, thank you, Dean Cruz. Chancellor Minor, report for Edwardsville.
Thank you, Chair Gilbert.
Follow that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. I will be brief this morning. I want to start where Chancellor Lane began his report, which is with spring commencement. I like to say on a number of occasions, it is among the best of times in university communities. You all know this. Their families, there are lots of interesting stories. The spring SIUE conferred nearly 2,000 degrees on May 8th and 9th, which is always really exciting. The other interesting thing about commencement this spring is that in this graduating class are some of the students I had the opportunity to welcome to campus. And so I've been there just long enough now that some of the students I recruited while in high school are now graduating from SIUE, which is really exciting. The other thing I would just say, we know that there are always remarkable stories in these incoming classes. We have watched these students compete on the athletic fields and on the courts. Some of them we know are the first in their family to ever earn a college degree, and some of them now are third generation Cougars, where they've got parents and grandparents who also graduated from SIUE. And we also had this spring the distinction of the first cohort of code scholars at SIUE also crossed the commencement stage. So it's always an exciting time. And you'll see from some of the video footage, we get to hear these stories. Sometimes they emerge during the ceremony. In this footage, this clip here, we've got a set of twins who were both graduating from the School of Nursing, who were surprised by an older brother who is a airman first class. His name is Bobby Edwards, who surprised his two younger siblings as they were lining up to process into the ceremony. So always exciting time. We also had an opportunity to celebrate the class of 1976. These are our golden graduates who are returning for their 50-year anniversary. Always a fun time. And you talk about interesting stories. These are graduates who attended the Mississippi River Festival. Some of those stories are for public consumption. Some of them are not. Trustee Simmons, in terms of how people celebrated during that music festival. But there's always interesting stories here. Here's Maria Holcomb, who graduated both in 1974 and in 1976. Really interesting story. She earned the BA in Spanish in 74 and a master's degree in education in 1976. She raised 5 children while earning her degree, attended at night. She gives all of the credit to the SIUE faculty for being so wonderful and accommodating. And I am told that she has never missed a class in earning the BA or the master's degree, Trustee Abuzane. I'm sharing this for our current students when I talk about their attendance to class. So it's really exciting to watch her. She goes on to earn a PhD from St. Louis University and teaches Spanish from 1985 until she retires in 2001. Two other things that I would mention about this class in 1970 or 1958. SIUE was established in 1957. In 1958, we had 7 graduates. All of them were transfer students who were graduating from SIUE a year after it was established. One in history, the other 6 were in business. 2 years later, we had 68. And so in 1960, we had 68 graduates. During this commencement ceremony, we surpassed 150,000 degrees that have been conferred by SIUE. The student who crosses the stage with that distinction happens to be the grandson of an SIUE graduate. So it tells you about the role and the impact this institution has had in this region, which is pretty exciting. I want to just circle back. Some of you all may remember the recent board meeting at Carbondale. Dr. Randy Pearson is there trying to explain to us all geospatial technology. He's got a map on the screen, and we're all listening carefully to understand the development and emergence of this new industry. Shortly after that meeting, SIUE signs a formal educational partnership agreement with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which is a pretty big deal. Some of you know they recently established a $1.7 billion facility, a state-of-the-art facility in the St. Louis region, and we're now an official educational partner. I want to give credit to the SIUE faculty. I- it's hard to articulate, but when you talk to the leaders at NGA, the two things that I will remind you from that presentation. So some of us are still sitting here going, what the heck is geospatial technology? The way I've described in terms of what happens there, the leadership at NGA will tell you that there's not a U.S. military fighter plane in the world right now that takes off without intelligence from that location. All right, so it gives you a sense of satellite imagery and intelligence on the ground all over the world. The partnership, which was formalized, it helps us align our curriculum and coursework to real life and real industry needs, and it expands the access for our student and faculty to NGA scientists and facilities and career pathways. Again, Dr. Randy Pearson has been a leader for us. Dr. Stacy Brown Emilian and Dr. Liz Calley were really instrumental in establishing this partnership. It's a big deal for SIUE. On August 19th, we will welcome the next dean for the School of Engineering at SIUE. Dr. Chen comes to us. He's currently a department chair and professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at the University of Toledo. Previously, he was a faculty member in electrical engineering at Lehigh University. I've had a chance to review his resume and credentials, and they are impressive. Designing curriculum, and I think maybe the most relevant thing I'll mention here is that all of the AI discussion that we had yesterday, he brings a lot of experience in leading institutional efforts on AI from his current institution. And so we are excited about the next chapter for the School of Engineering at SIUE. One other thing that I will try to connect, this was also a recent board meeting at SIUE, where you all heard a presentation from our School of Pharmacy, Dr. Patel, who was there with a graduate student talking about the research that they were doing related to curing cancer. And I made a very bold statement that I asked people to imagine that a cure for cancer could be discovered at SIUE. Trustee Williams, you asked the question, I think, during that session about the continuation of the grant that they had with NIH. And I just want to give you an update. We received word that they indeed received a next grant from NIH to continue their research. Now, I won't pretend to be a pharmacist here, but I want to remind you all about the nature of their research. If you go back to that presentation there, in terms of pharmacy, establishing inhibitors or blockers from the proteins that create or give life to cancer cells. And the idea that their research has been not only supported but legitimized by NIH is pretty remarkable. So I wanted to give the board an update and just let you know this kind of research is happening at SIUE. The second to last thing I'll mention is just One Day, One SIUE. It's always a fun time. The foundation team does a great job of bringing together alumni and donors to celebrate the university and to support the university. You'll see here we're just outside of the new health sciences building on SIUE's campus. We're supposed to have hot air balloons in the air that day. It was a little too windy for those pilots, Chancellor Lane, so they had to stay on the ground. But it was another banner year for the university, not only in terms of the dollar amount raised, but I continue to underscore the kind of engagement that we are now building with our alumni base and community leaders at SIUE. You'll see we started this just a few short years ago. In 2022 is the first year I started at SIUE, and you can just see how it has grown over the last few years. It is pretty remarkable not only in terms of dollar amount, but to be able to exceed the goal. I said 2 years ago, I didn't know what the foundation would do to top one of those one day, one SIUE events, but they continue to do a remarkable job to celebrate the university. A quick update on fall enrollment. We too will give you very cautious projections about what we expect to happen this fall. I will continue to say that student behavior is as dynamic as I have ever seen it. And the strength of our ability to predict is just not what it was. And so we have grown more cautious in our predictions, but I do think we have an opportunity to grow. You'll see here overall enrollment projections, and then the first time students in college. I said to Trustee Curtis during the break or just before we started, part of the surprise here is the bulk of the growth for SIUE has been among traditional age students who are just leaving high school and matriculating to college. So despite the challenges that we've had with graduate and international education, we are closing that gap with new first-time full-time enrollment and with transfer students. So these are very positive numbers. We're working really hard to avoid summer melt. These are students who have committed to come to college, and for whatever reason, we lose a great percentage of them during the summer. So right now, these are the projections that we would share with the board, and obviously we'll come back in September with actuals for fall enrollment. The last update I have is about Cougar Village or Tower Lake, depending on the decade that you were at SIUE. Just 2 weeks ago, Trustee Hightower, I ran into a member in our community who happens to be in the construction business. And I said to him, we're in the process, the planning stages of redeveloping Cougar Village. And he said to me, I was there 30 years ago and it was old then. And so he was surprised that it hadn't been developed. But it is well beyond its lifespan. And so I just want to preview this for the board. We will come back in September with a formal item asking for board action so that we initiate the planning stages to redevelop it. It will not be easy. Cougar Village represents a third of the housing inventory at SIUE. So the ability for us to take it completely offline is not possible. We're going to have to develop it in phases so that we don't lose the inventory as we continue to grow enrollment. That concludes my report. Thank you, Chair Gilbert.
Thank you, Chancellor Minor. President Mahoney?
2 buildings over.
Well, thank you, Chair Gilbert. We're going to do what we always do in July, which is start with an update on the strategic plan. So Courtney Breckenridge is working her way down to give you that update.
Thank you. All right, good morning. Today, I'd like to briefly reflect on the progress we've made this year on the implementation of the SIU System Strategic Plan, and more importantly, what we've learned over the course of this strategic planning cycle, our first one in recent years. I'll also share a brief update around the progress of the strategic plan refresh that will return to this board for review in December. So the reports in front of you represent more than just another annual update. It marks the conclusion of the first strategic planning cycle that was approved by this board and gives us an opportunity to reflect on what we've accomplished together. Before I do that, I'd like to recognize the leadership of President Mahoney and Vice President Girish Gupchup for leading implementation across the system. Also, of course, Carrie Butts-Wilmsmeyer, Sarah Jimenez, Julie Lindsay for the tremendous amount of work they've invested in coordinating and supporting both this report, but also the strategic planning dashboard, which you can find recently updated online. I'd also like to thank all of our implementation teams, campus leaders, and some of the key champions of collaboration whose dedication has made the accomplishments in this report possible. So this slide, at first glance, these may look like 4 completely unrelated accomplishments. They're really not. They're 4 examples of the same idea. They demonstrate how our collaboration across the SIU system is evolving from an aspiration into the way we do business. So let's talk a little bit first here about student success, the course exchange, and some of the shared credential development. This is one of the clearest examples of system collaboration coming out of this report. It has expanded opportunities for students by allowing them to access courses across campus, removing barriers, and making better use of our collective academic strengths. Just as importantly, it has strengthened relationships among faculty and academic leaders and created a foundation for continued academic success. Community impact. The Office of Community Engagement and the Institute for Rural Health didn't exist when the strategic plan began. They were envisioned through the strategic planning process, built from the ground up, and have grown remarkably over the last 4 years. Today, these centers are leading workforce initiatives, rural health partnerships, digital equity efforts, community planning, and extremely competitive grant development. One recent example is a new state appropriation supporting approximately $3 million in American bottom floodplain mitigation work around the communities of East St. Louis and Cahokia Heights. These centers demonstrate what becomes possible when the system invests intentionally in collaborative infrastructure that serves our communities. We've also seen collaboration become part of our research culture. Cooperative PhD programs continue to grow, and the Faculty Collaboration Awards recognize cross-campus partnerships. We're seeing increased collaboration across researchers from across the system. These initiatives create opportunities that are larger than any one campus and could accomplish independently. So it's incredible to see the opportunities emerging. Some of our most important accomplishments, though, they're happening behind the scenes. Shared technology contracts, federated IDs, shared systems. These investments have reduced barriers, improved efficiency, and make collaboration easier every day. So while these accomplishments span very different areas, they all point to a same outcome. We've become better at leveraging our collective strengths to create opportunities that no single campus could achieve. So, looking back across the first strategic planning cycle, I personally think that our greatest accomplishment wasn't any single initiative. It was changing how we think about working together. Early in the implementation, Trustee Barnett and I served on some committees in the planning process for this. There was a little bit of an undertone of, why are we a system? Why are we doing this? Do we have to today? But today, those conversations have shifted entirely. As we've been working with the faculty and with the stakeholders through the refresh process, it's really changed to what can we do together? What can we do? This was great, let's do more. And that evolution in mindset, to me, is the most important outcome. Can't really list it in the report in a glossy story with photos, but it is so clear in engaging with the teams as we work on the update. So this brings us around to the strategic plan refresh. Like I said, we'll be back in December to present the findings of that. But one of the greatest things has been hearing the support for the overall direction of the current plan. We're not starting from scratch here. We're building on a strong foundation. So we're refining the goals, strengthening what's already proven to be successful, and working on how we better communicate those achievements as we move forward. One addition you'll see in the refresh plan will be a greater emphasis on signature accomplishments under each goal. These signature initiatives will help demonstrate measurable impact and provide clear examples of those system-wide collaborations. So almost finished. We're well on our way in the development of the next plan. We've gathered input from faculty, staff, students, alumni, community members, the implementation teams, strategic planning committee, through forums, surveys, and conversations. These conversations continue to reinforce that our greatest opportunities lie in expanding collaboration. So we're excited to bring that to you in December. So on behalf of everyone involved in implementing this strategic plan, thank you for your continued leadership and support. We appreciate the opportunity to share this progress with you today and look forward to presenting the refreshed plan in December.
Are there any questions on the update?
Might have walked away too soon if you have any questions.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. As Courtney mentioned, I worked at SIU Carbondale at the time. These strategic plan working groups were put together. I served on the community impact working group alongside Courtney. And I've said this many times before, but I think as President Mahoney stepped up to not only gather input from the campuses, but really unite the campuses through this. It really set the tone for what we're seeing today. So thank you for your report.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, yes, you can go back now, Courtney. And thank you, Courtney, for all your work on this. And Vice President Gupchuck, who's taken a real leadership role, deserves a lot of the credit for the progress that's been made. I did want to highlight, we talked about the Office for Community Engagement, and under Connie Fry-Spurlock's leadership has done more things than I want to list today. But I do want to highlight a couple things. And Courtney did mention the American Bottoms Project. That's something we've been working on for the last couple of years, but do have money now from the state to help support that project. And that's, again, a good example, I think, of a project where communities need to be brought together, and really us helping to facilitate was the only way that that could happen. I also want to point out the strategic partnership we have with the Springfield Project. Dominic Watson from that is here today. That is really a more holistic way of working with the community to address their priorities and needs, and using the strength of the system to do that. I think it'll be a model not just for what we do here in Springfield, but what we can do in different communities. So thank you to Connie and Dominic for really leading the effort of putting that together and giving us that roadmap going forward. As I say, there's a lot of things going on in Alton. There's other things going on. They really have done a great job of implementing what we saw as a real opportunity for us to have an impact on the communities by collaborating across the system. So again, thank you to them for all that they do. I will say too, I want to just briefly mention, and I had sent a note to the board about this, that the additional 2% of the 3% allocated to higher education was released by the governor in the month of June. So we do want to thank him for releasing that money. That is supporting us a lot, and helps that budget forecast that Justin had presented earlier. So we're grateful for that. I also want to note and just emphasize one of the things that the chancellors both talked about: enrollment. As Chancellor Lane said, we do not talk about enrollment numbers before the 10th day. That is considered the great jinx that will destroy everything. But I will say the numbers, and I review them every week. I keep clicking until the update comes. It has been actually quite positive, and I recognize that that takes the leadership that we have on the campuses and really the work of a whole lot of people. But we'll emphasize we're still several weeks away, so that work is not done. And I recognize we're doing a podcast later talking about how we spend our summers in higher education. And for those who are involved with student recruitment, it is their busiest season. It is very, very active. And again, a lot of work from a lot of people. So we thank them for the work they've done so far and appreciate everything that they're going to do in the next several weeks. So that is my report.
Thank you, President Mahoney. Our next item is a call for the omnibus motion. Trustees have had approximately 10 days to study the items on the agenda. A certain number are routine or self-explanatory. So to save time, we act upon them in one motion and vote. Madam Secretary, please read the suggested items for the omnibus motion.
We have board agenda items F through V.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve the items for the omnibus motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Abizena,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gaik,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Salger, Simmons,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
The motion carries. Next, the board would like to present an honoring resolution. I'm glad you didn't leave, Dr. Cruz. This is a resolution from the board. States, whereas Dr. Jerry Cruz has demonstrated outstanding leadership and dedication during more than 40 years of distinguished service to medical education, clinical practice, and citizens of Illinois. Whereas his professional journey as a family physician began in Quincy, Illinois, establishing a career-long focus on treating vulnerable populations and expanding the scope of medical care to address the real-world needs of local communities. Whereas Dr. Cruz is concluding his career as Dean and Provost of the Illinois University School of Medicine, leaving a legacy of excellence in primary care, rural health care, delivery, and community-based medicine. Whereas under his direction, the SIU School of Medicine expanded innovative rural residency programs, collaborations with federally qualified health centers, telehealth infrastructure, behavioral and maternal health services, and integrated community clinics. Whereas Dr. Cruz provided steady and compassionate guidance through unprecedented institutional and societal challenges, successfully steering the medical school and clinical enterprise through a state budget impasse, shifting healthcare financial models, and COVID-19 pandemic, when his evidence-based leadership protected public health, maintained continuity for medical learners, and secured institutional stability across the SIU system. Whereas Dr. Cruz has significantly advanced the university's mission by creating inclusive educational pipelines, strengthening clinical partnerships, transforming SIU medicine into a highly integrated, mission-driven healthcare network that treats hundreds of thousands of patients annually. Whereas Dr. Cruz's leadership was defined by a deep sense of humility, collaboration, and mentorship, earning him the profound respect of faculty, staff, residents, students, and community partners alike. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees in regular meeting assembled that Dr. Jerry Cruz, MD, is hereby formally recognized for his extraordinary leadership, visionary stewardship, and immense contributions as Dean and Provost of the Illinois University School of Medicine. Be it further resolved that this Board of Trustees extends its deepest appreciation to Dr. Cruz for his decades of honorable service, recording its lasting gratitude for its transformational impact on Illinois University system and the health of the communities it serves. Is there any discussion? And I would like to have Trustee Curtis make the motion to approve this resolution.
I'd be honored to make the motion. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are now going to call for a roll call vote on the resolution.
Arizona,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gaik,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Salger, Simmons,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, before we conclude the meeting, I want to say a few more words, Dr. Cruz. I've been on this board for going on 12 years. You've been a part of that 12 years. I was on the board when we appointed you Dean and Provost, and I cannot be more proud of what you've accomplished personally, professionally, for this region, for the school, as I said earlier, nationally and internationally. I don't know whether, I know that President Mahoney wants to say something, and I know Trustee Curtis would like to say a few words.
Yeah, and I'll say, I want to thank Jerry for everything that he's done. It's interesting. I still remember the first meeting we had at the airport in Springfield when I was interviewing for the job. And he bragged about how great this school was. I'm like, yeah, I was a dean once. We all brag about our schools. It's not as good as he says it is. And it's turned out to be everything that he says it was. And it's a lot to do with really good leadership and comes certainly from the top all the way through. I quickly appreciated his help during COVID-19 and all the advice. For those who don't remember, Carbondale had the lowest infection rate in the state, and Edwardsville had the second lowest infection rate. And that was because we listened to the people from the School of Medicine. Jerry was a great advisor, but he also surrounded himself with really brilliant people who helped us. Dr. Prakash was a big help to me in that process as well. And she's just one of many that I've gotten to know in the School of Medicine. That again, and Jerry has, I think, continued to take the organization forward. I like that tradition of innovation. That's the way you tend to think. It's very forward thinking, continuously improving, which I think has been important. But I will say the biggest thing to me is you consistently show a caring about everybody, and that's including the patients, it's the students, it's the faculty, it's the staff, and trying to make things better for everybody. And that focus on equity, even when that at times has been difficult, has been impressive. So thank you very much.
Trustee Curtis.
Thank you, Chairman Gilbert. Jerry, it's my true honor to congratulate you as you retire as Dean and Provost of SIU School of Medicine. You heard Jerry give some amazing comments this morning, and I want to touch on a couple of things to add. The first 12 years of his career, when he came here in 1984, he was in Quincy, Illinois. He talked about the residency training program, 6 residents per year, 3 years. But Jerry was an extraordinary physician as well as an extraordinary educator. Some of you won't know that in his time in Quincy, in that first 12 years, I didn't know Jerry then, but I was around. Jerry delivered 1,900 infants, 1,900. So you think about a physician, and you heard Chancellor Lane talk about his intellect, and I have firsthand knowledge. Jerry has near photographic recall. If he met you in the 8th grade, he'd remember the ambient temperature of the day he met you. I'm not exaggerating. Now think about that as a clinician, because he doesn't forget anything. He's an extraordinary physician providing care for those 12 years. In the late 90s, I'm going to say 96, 97, Jerry became chairman of the Department of Family and Community Medicine, and then came over here. He was, in Quincy, but over here, and developed this wonderful center we have at 4th and Carpenter that's still there today in family and community medicine. But the thing I learned early on about Jerry is, yeah, we can have all these incredible facilities and the campuses and everything else, but it's really about access. So you can take this neighborhood right over here, a couple blocks away, we call Enos Park. This is pre-pandemic. We have this beautiful new center at 4th and Carpenter. Jerry goes, Ed, we have patients in the neighborhood that don't feel worthy of coming to our clinic, even though we know the care is free, but they don't know the care is free. And we have to build that level of trust. And the only way we're going to build that level of trust is go to them, go in the communities, et cetera. So Jerry's teaching these things in the late 90s. Now that served him well, and it served this organization well because he's a purpose-driven leader. We throw a lot of leadership terms around. What's a purpose-driven leader? Solely focused on mission, solely focused on mission, both the educational mission, certainly the research mission, but patient care and access. You heard him mention that 19 federally qualified health centers throughout this 66 county region that have been developed under his leadership. That's extraordinary. That's access. And the one thing I heard Jerry get choked up here right at the end was on what? Health equity, on equity, diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism. And he doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk with students, certainly with patients, but access to care is nothing short of amazing. Now, if you want to talk about events of a leader, we talk about the pandemic. It started in early 2020. Jerry's steady presence in his leadership was nothing short of amazing, and he was working nonstop day and night. But he never got rattled during that, and I think that's amazing. But I want to take you back to 3 years prior to that. What happened in the state of Illinois a few years prior to the pandemic? We had a budget impasse. Remember that? Under the Rauner administration. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying it is what it is. It had draconian impact on our ability to fund the healthcare mission. That hurt Jerry. I could tell. It really tore him up. But he stayed focused on access to care and making sure that everybody was served. Nothing short of amazing. And then I've had the opportunity to work with Jerry over these last 30 years. And I'll ramp forward to 10 years ago when he became Dean and Provost of SIU School of Medicine, and the work that's been done to expand faculty. And certainly we all know about the pandemic, and we talked about the pandemic and what he did for this university system. If you recall, President Mahoney's first day was the day the pandemic was declared, March 1 of 2020. I don't know if Dan would have had as good of transition into this role if he didn't have Jerry decide to be that steady presence for how we're going to direct the pandemic, both for the university, for our communities in these 66 counties of Central and Southern Illinois. It was truly remarkable. And then I look at the Metro East area. I remember one day Dr. Hightower called Jerry and, Ed's about this much patience, and he wanted, testing services down in that Metro East area like now, and they needed it, and it should have been there. Jerry didn't say, he did it, and he did it quickly and put people in place. Those are just truly remarkable things, and there are so many things that we could talk about Jerry's career. But I think when you talk about his level of intellect, you also need to know that Jerry has a tremendous curiosity. The work that he did in his mission work in Central America is truly remarkable. But Jerry was always global. He had a national presence in health policy under two presidential administrations, both the Bush administration and the Obama administration. Secretary of Health and Human Services had him at the national level setting health policy for this country. In family and community medicine, he led at the highest level on a national level. So he's played a role in health policy. But what I'm most impressed with is what he's done in patient care. Because if you drive around this campus at SIU or the hospitals and Springfield Memorial, St. John's, wherever, these are impressive facilities. But Jerry taught us early on that people that don't feel worthy aren't going to come to these facilities. We got to go to them. And he did that so effectively through the work that he did. And I know it started with his presence in family and community medicine. And his commitment to research and education is truly remarkable. The problem-based learning curriculum, but I've watched medical students over my last 30 years and how welcome they feel. Nobody powers up on them. This team-based training and multidisciplinary training that he's had a huge handle on implementing has created a situation when a student graduates from medical school here and they start residency as they did a few weeks ago, they are so prepared at any place they go in the United States of America, because I truly believe the education that he and his team have created here for students is truly remarkable. So when you add patient care, education, and the commitment to research, absolutely extraordinary. So Jerry, on behalf of me personally, as your friend and colleague, on behalf of the board, I just cannot say enough about the contributions you've made to this medical school, the state of healthcare in this country. But I don't take it all for granted what you've done in health equity and helping students of color and others with access into the system. And it's just truly remarkable what you've done. And I'm very proud to say that I got to work alongside you for a few years. Congratulations.
That concludes the business of the Board of Trustees today. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the board will be held on September 17th at the SIU School of Dental Medicine in Alton. A news conference will be held immediately at the conclusion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn the full board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Abyzina,
Yes.
Barnett,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gait, Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Salger, Simmons,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.